Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Steam Forward podcast. As always, I'm your host, Savannah, and today our guest is Donte Palmer. And Donte, him and I are actually co-workers for one of our sponsors, Trinity Church. And today he's going to share his experience about being a creative, his nonprofit, and just that when you grow up broken, you don't have to stay there. So everyone, please help me welcome Donte Palmer.
Hey, how you guys doing? Thank you, Savannah. I think first off, I am so honored to be a part of this podcast. I think we already said episode 41, right? Mm-hmm. It was 40 people before me. Mm-hmm. And I was like, no, I should have been like one. But I'm happy that I'm 41.
Yeah. So we've been just doing it and learning things about people.
Absolutely.
What I love about these podcasts is like even the people I work with, I learned so much about them. The one that surprised me the most was actually Donna. And I was like, I've known you for years and I never knew you.
Right. And Donna doesn't really talk outside of that, so it's awesome.
So I love like when the coworkers come, now I can get like a little more peace. But I think because we do youth ministry together, I know you a little more than some people. So this should be fun. So give us some background on who you are. Where'd you grow up?
Absolutely.
You didn't grow up here.
So I was born in Charlotte, North Carolina, but I really don't claim Charlotte because I moved when I was about 3 or 4, but I was raised in Philadelphia.
Right.
So that's my home ground. Go Eagles. I'm going to say it because I bleed green all day. I was raised in Philly, and I got 2 brothers, 2 sisters. My mom and dad were in the household, and they were married for a number of years. And then my dad went to a life of addiction, so that kind of added life, took another turn. So I had to really learn how to be a man through my mom, which I see a lot with the kids we serve, but also in the community that I was a part of. So I found out how to be a man through my mom, like I said, but also through the men in my church.
Right.
But it was also that story, that thing back in my mind. I was like, okay, I want my dad. I don't care how tough I became, how older I got. I was always looking for the love of my dad. And so I went to college in Indiana, PA, University of Pennsylvania, right outside of Pittsburgh. And I graduated with a major in communications with a minor in theater. And I moved to New York to chase this freelance videography career, and it was horrible. My whole life just shattered.
Yeah.
Like, I'm trying to be a freelancer in New York. There's so much fast pace going on. Rent is expensive, and I didn't have the resources. I wasn't equipped to really live in that city. And I fell into like this whole life of stress. And I called my mom and said, I really need some help. I need some guidance.
Yeah.
So I moved down to Jacksonville, Florida, and that's when that decision I made, I think my whole life changed. I called my mother and said, hey, I'm going to Jacksonville. I met my wife in Jacksonville. She hates when I tell the story, but I met her on Tinder when Tinder first came out. And we just started a family. And as we fast forward to this moment here, but I think we have I'm 37 next week, so it's 37 years of testimony and experience that I have. And I think we talked about my whole life. It would be a 3-hour podcast. But I just think that's my life, who I am now. But we can dive deep into,
some other things,
and really get to who I am and what we're trying to portray today. So
the question I have, because I don't really know anybody from Pennsylvania or Philadelphia. Right. Now, my real dad was born there, but I didn't really ever get to experience. So what's the difference from like Pennsylvania and Florida?
Yeah, well, first off, the weather.
Right.
The weather in Pennsylvania is horrible. I hate the snow, so I'm happy that we don't have seasons in Miami. It's hot all year round. I love that. But I just think, it may be just my opinion, but I think people in Florida are much nicer.
Southern hospitality.
I think that's what it is.
Yeah.
The culture is different. In Philadelphia, I was raised, and I really didn't realize it. When I was about 30, I went to counseling, and it was the first time I heard that I had PTSD. And the first time I heard that, I told my counselor, I said, well, I wasn't part of the Army. That's how ignorant I was.
Right.
Fact. And she said, no, you was trauma. And this dark times you had. So we started identifying it, and it came from the city of Philadelphia.
That's what I was wondering, like this urban city, because you hear good things about it, but then you hear not so good things. But, I'm not really into I think there's a thing called geological perspective, right? You make these conclusions about places you've never been based off of people you meet or like even the media. So that's why I was curious.
It is a war zone.
Yeah.
I lived there when my niece was 5 at the time. She's 15 now. But when I remember it was gunshots in our neighborhood, a 5-year-old knew how to get down behind a couch so bullets don't fall through the window. So these are the things we had to experience all through my life, and I thought it was normal. So when I moved to Jacksonville and I finally had that Southern hospitality, you didn't hear dirt bikes and sirens and helicopters going over, it was silence and peace, my anxiety started peaking because I was so used to the loudness. But when I actually had time for myself, it scared me. I was like, what is this? I never heard myself think before.
Yeah.
Being in Florida, that's what all my skeletons and all the monsters started coming out of me, because I was like, okay, I'm not used to the quiet. I'm not used to the still in Florida. But Florida actually is a better place.
Oh, we love Florida.
I love Florida now.
Yeah. And so you got your degree in theater. So I know you so I've always met you as a creative.
Right.
So how did you know that you were like this creative person? Because you produce plays.
Right.
Like, how did you find out that was something who you were?
I'm happy you asked. I actually started being a creative out of pain. Right. When my dad was out the house and I felt as though I didn't have an outlet to speak to anybody, I started writing my thoughts. And if I could find my old poetry book was so dark. The stories and the poems I would write, it was about things I just don't want to even feel comfortable talking about now on this podcast. But it was so dark. And my mom was asking me, why are you speaking about such dark things? And it came out through anger. And then when I learned how to channel those words or that creativity, that's when I said, all right, let me now, as out of pain, but now let me be creative for attention.
Right.
I started doing this for people to laugh at me. I became the class clown, so people can laugh at me. And then when I graduated high school and went to college, I said, okay, you know what? Let me hone in on this. Let me focus on this, because I do like entertainment. People do laugh at me. People do get a good I get a good response from people.
Right.
But now let me hone in onto a skill set.
Right.
When I went to college and minor in theater, I learned the art of theater. And then when I graduated, I started doing videography. I started getting on stage plays, and I really found like, wow, I'm actually natural at this. And I just kind of like do it. And then when I moved to Florida, I think Miami gave me the kickstart. And a lot of people don't know this, a kickstart of my creativity. My first time ever in a large production was Scrooge here in Trinity. My first time
you
ever.
being in a production.
Being in a production. Wow. I had like small church plays in Philadelphia, but my biggest one was Scrooge. So when I got the role of Scrooge, I was like, I don't think I'm ready for this. But
it's such a character too.
And I got so comfortable with it. Yeah. Now I want more. And that's when Lose Control came out. And that's when everything else started kind of following suit.
Yeah.
Trinity Church gave me the kind of jump start to say, know what you are. Creative, go ahead and live into it.
Yeah, see, I'm good at talking on stage, but like the whole, like the confidence that people have, but specifically you, to put on a costume and like be goofy and silly. I don't know. I just never got out that bubble.
When I put those costumes on, it's like an outer body experience. Like that's not Donte. That is Willie Earl.
Yeah, because you act like it. Jesus of Nazareth, and you were the king, like this evil like guy who doesn't care about people. Like, no, you're in this. Like,
but that was my character. That was Donte was off the stage, so we're looking into it. It's
a great talent to have. Yeah, it is. And so, if people don't know, you actually have been on TED Talk.
Yes.
And you have a nonprofit because you saw a need as a father.
Absolutely.
So can you give us some background?
Yeah, so the TED Talk came later on after the nonprofit started, and actually all this kind of happened on accident. So my wife and I went to a restaurant one night with the boys, and we were just having a routine meal that night. Keisha didn't feel like cooking. I cook at times too, so I'm making some. I don't cook. Keisha does not feel like cooking.
Yeah.
We went to a restaurant, and Liam was pushing 1 year old. He had soiled his diaper. So I went to the restroom. Isaiah came with me so we could help him change Liam's diaper. And Isaiah took a picture of me changing Liam's diaper, squatting on a wall. And about 2 weeks later, I posted that picture on Instagram. I went to sleep the next morning. That picture literally went globally viral.
Yeah.
CNN to BBC World News, Fox, ABC, CBS, Washington Post. And I know we went viral because my mom called me and said, you're on the news. And being in Philadelphia, when you found out that you're on the news, I thought all the negative things. What did I do?
Yeah.
And why is my face on the news? And I seen it, and I didn't even know the story. I was like, why is the story so interesting of me changing my son's diaper, right? Did I do something wrong? And then Washington Post was actually the one who called me and built the story for me. Okay, this is what we're doing. This is what we like. You should take this route because if you go this way, you'll get a good punch to it. So I found a publicist, and the Pampers called about a month later. They wanted to give me a partnership, and we just so now the need was the lack of changing stations in men's restrooms.
Right.
So Pampers donated $1 million to our nonprofit to buy 10,000 changing tables to put in restrooms in Canada and America.
Yeah.
And John Legend was spearheading with Pampers. So we just, for 2 years, we was traveling the country putting changing tables in restrooms. Right. And that led to me being on a TED Talk for me to share my experience. And that's when the moment was when I actually had to speak about my father, his absence. And that moment, I think after my TED talk, my dad called me, and that was the night we really kind of came back to our relationship and said, you know what, I'm sorry, you're sorry, let's move forward, because you are a grandfather and I'm a father, and we want to break that cycle in this moment. So, so that TED talk moment was like a full circle for me and my dad.
Right. And to be clear for the audience, you have 3 sons.
I have 3 boys.
And then Liam is the youngest.
Liam is the youngest.
And so you've kind of dealt with this even before, because Liam's what, 5 or 6?
He's 6 now.
6. And so you've been dealing with kind of like the lack of changing stages for a while.
Now. So Isaiah was 8, so good thing when Isaiah, he wasn't in diapers. That would have been a different story. But we're dealing with Taylor and Liam. This is a real story. So we connected with a lot of fathers. I mean, we struck a nerve. Fathers in Taiwan and Japan. I really knew we went globally viral when a father from of Afghanistan reached out to Facebook and said, you know what, I'm taking a picture that supports you. We might have differences in our culture, but we know as fathers we love our children. And I was like, wow, this is really hitting the whole world. And we just kept moving forward.
So did you take the picture in mind, like, oh, like this is what I have to do because there's no changing tables, or just coincidentally?
It was something that I took a picture, and Isaiah took the picture, and I said, you know what? And I was actually home watching a football game, and I said, Isaiah, send me that picture you sent took a few weeks ago. I was going to post it on social media. So I put it on social media and said, hey, we need changing tables. You know, fathers' lives matter. And the next morning, everybody took over, and everybody, I mean, from politicians to celebrities, we actually changed law in New York, Tallahassee, and Minnesota. So now it's illegal to have restrooms without changing tables. It's kind of like insane.
And it helps divert the narrative, like only women take care of the kids.
I mean, we want to take ownership to our babies. Like, you guys sit down, relax, let us dads do what we got to do for our children.
And doesn't it make more sense for a dad to take his son to the bathroom over? I guess that's
especially these days it's dangerous anyways. Men, take your kids to the bathroom. And protect your babies. Simple as that. So.
Well, that's awesome. And then, so do you plan to do anything else with Squat for Change? Is it out there still? How can people get involved?
Right. So we have Instagrams, Squat for Change. You can follow. We have a lot of details going over that right there. But my life definitely took a total change. Ministry is calling me on my heart. You know that. So around Father's Day, we do have like father events. We do try to get in-kind donations to give Pampers and toys and clothes to fathers in need. So we still do that kind of once a year. Also, my friend of mine, his name is Clifton. He's been helping me spearhead a Squat for Change diaper bag company. So that's coming out soon. So that'll be pushed out on Squat for Change on our Instagram, so you can get more information about that. But honestly, I have so many kids. I have 3 sons, but Youthquake are our babies, and you understand that. So I think my focus is on them and how we get them to college, how we make them better men and women of God, and how we just kind of install who we are as people into them. And the thing is, I think I shared this as Youthquake one day. The reason why I believe Squad for Change took a massive decline was because I wasn't putting God first. Right? I really was going to that movement, and I became self. I became self. Everything was me. I did this. I'm in this limo. I'm flying, and I felt good. And that fame really took me away from God. And I heard God knocking at the door. I was like, okay, God, I got the blessing already.
And
then when I started declining, that's when you start. All right, God, I'm here and I want it back now. And God said, no, just take some time to be humble, my friend.
Now you're gonna have a different life.
Absolutely, have a different life. Now you go fully focus on me. But I'm happy for the experience because I can share that experience with my kids and let them know. So when you get to the moment, this is what you do in order to self-sustain yourself. So.
Right, absolutely. So for y'all that don't know, he said Youthquake. Youthquake is our youth ministry here at Trinity Church. And so the other question I was going to ask you is like, what has this? I guess it's been about a year that we've launched Youthquake. What has this past year really brought to your life? Mentoring and ministering.
First off, it was definitely a challenge. You know, just learning how to first off be a part of a team, right? And learning how we all have different opinions and ideologies of what we want to do and how things used to be and where we want to go now. So breaking that through that first barrier walls with just the staff and itself was tough, right? But when we got there, we all got to this common ground. Now it's like, okay, now we really we are taking care of other people's children, right? And giving them sound doctrine and you know, kids are now open up their lives to us. And the scary part was I told my wife one day, I said, these babies, my babies, are really pouring their hearts out to me. And I wasn't ready for that, right? When you have traumas coming your way and stresses and parents' issues at home, and they're coming to me, I'm like, okay, I didn't prepare for this. I thought it was just going in and sing a worship, give a message, and we go home. But when kids coming to you crying or texting you, say, I need help, right? That's when I was like, I'm not ready for this. But I had to stand 10 toes down and say, no, well, let me get my word. How do we combat this? Started getting people like Pastor Linda and Miss Fletcher around us. Okay, we need y'all support. So now we have the support lined up. We have the clear communication. Now I think we are really doing something great. I think Youthquake, and I stand on this, will be the best youth ministry that Miami-Dade has ever seen ever.
I think that even if it's not number-wise, I think just like supportive,
of course,
emotionally and mentally. I tell people, like, I've served in a couple of youth ministries, and there's no demographic like Miami Gardens that I've ever served in. And you're right, you do get things that you're like, I am not a professional. I do not know what we're supposed to do with this. And I think that that's kind of the difference between us and like other ministries. Like, we get people who like are going through it.
I think the biggest thing when I first started was I was so fixed on numbers and to get more kids. But the 96 kids that come on Sunday, I'm okay with that, because we still haven't even hit we really haven't really penetrated their heart set. We want 200 more kids, and we got 96 kids that we need to really focus on. They're still coming to us with drama and pains and there's like issues, and like, okay, let's focus on our baby. So when we do get this new wave, now we can take a step back and let our kids lead, right? So I know some youth ministries with only 6 kids that come on Tuesday or Sunday. So I'm just so grateful that we have 96 showing up on a Sunday, and we have a powerful team, and we just, installing everything we have into our babies that we have now. So
I always think, like, because some of them, they call me late.
Right.
And I always say, like, 1 or 2, cool. Imagine like 15 who need help on a Thursday at 11 p.m. And it's like, and like, I'm always available. I'm always free. But it's like, I know numbers are great, but I think that when you're not smaller, because we're not a small youth ministry. I don't think we are.
I don't think we are.
But when you're kind of like, because that's why I love trying to do church as well. It just, something about it feels more intimate than like when you go to like really, really like thousands and thousands
you
of
become
people.
a number.
Yeah, you just kind of feel like, I don't know, I just feel like not only do they have somebody that cares for them like me, I feel like they care for me.
Yeah.
And like they ask me questions all the time. They're like, Miss Samantha, do you take breaks? Like, are you going to go to sleep?
Absolutely.
Are you going to eat?
100%.
And so they take care of me too. So yeah, youth ministry is definitely a special place here.
I love it. It's one of those things where I think it made me a better person over the last year. And the thing is, I have to exemplify who I am in ministry, but also at home. Because I think I became, especially with Isaiah, because now I can't go out there and preach a message and I'm at home share him the same love that I give to the kids in Youthquake. So it made me a better dad. So now if I talk about it on stage, I have to show it to him at home.
Right.
And he's like, he even said, Dad, I'm not gonna lie, you gave me more time now. We talk more, we engage more, because I know it's not a duty no more. It's like, this is who I am now. So I think he really loves it. And to the point where he's even opening his mouth more. Isaiah's a quiet kid.
He is.
He's a quiet kid with head down. He's really getting involved now. Like he even said last night after, we had glow party last night, we were driving home. He said, Dad, I think, I may want to be a minister one day. He was so excited. And even Liam, he came, this is the cute, the highlight of last night was, I have to share this.
I know he was boohoo crying about something.
I'm going to tell you, it's like, he came over to me, and this exact words. I got on my knee, and I was like, what are you crying for? Liam says, Daddy, I'm not afraid of the dark anymore. Your words were so good.
Yeah.
For a 6-year-old to understand what I ministered last night. And again, it's so elementary for a 6-year-old to understand that. That means we are in Youthquake as leaders doing a great job. And it's not, like you said last week, it's not us. When we start to know God, we know him, right? We start sharing our word. Let the Spirit use you and let the Spirit go. Like the Spirit penetrated a 6-year-old heart last night. And I was like, that's why I'm here. And I'm so excited.
Yeah.
We were called to be in Youthquake last year.
Such an exciting time. I know. Every time I think about just like the impact of like what people tell me confidently in confidence, right? Is like, and then it gets to a place where it's like, it's not even my glory that I want.
Right.
And I'm like, sometimes I wish they wouldn't thank me
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, I sometimes say, don't thank
The amount of
thank
people who
God.
told me last night, text me, you did so good. No, I didn't do good. Jesus showed up.
Yeah, that's what I
Jesus
tell
was
them.
here.
I said, because it wasn't me. It was an out-of-body experience.
Because I remember, I don't even know how many people were in it. It was like tunnel vision.
Right.
I just let God use me, and I got the amount of things you did good. And I was like, that goes back to the mindset of when people were giving me that squat for change praise.
Yeah.
You're doing so good, you're doing this, and I don't want that no more. I removed myself. Hey, just praise God. I mean, I can pray with you, but I didn't do anything. It's all God using me, and I'm just following His steps.
And I think that's a hard thing for people newly getting in ministry to understand is
100%.
that like, because it feels good when people are like, you've changed my life. Oh, your prayers really worked. Oh, like those things feel good. But then at the end of the day, it's like, when I think about how people have impacted me and I realize, no, that was me wanting relationship with God.
Yeah.
That was me wanting to get a word. That was me wanting to get something out of this worship. Yes, those people are there and I'm thankful that God gave them that. But at the end of the day, it's like, thank God.
And thank God. That's it. Simply thank God. Just look up and say thank God. You know what I mean? And
Yeah.
I just think it's like over the last year, just us diving in and being dedicated. I mean, even the altar moment last night, it was incredible for me. And I asked Pastor Rich, why did you put the biggest crybaby in the church on that stage last night? I was trying to hold it back, but just the kids up there crying and giving themselves to God and now having that fear for God. Like, I adore you. And my life, that's what it is about. And I'm just so happy and honored that my life went from a guy from Philadelphia to Squat for Change, which declined to youth ministry. Now I see why I went through all that to get where I am now, because now I have the experience and the journeys to share with my kids to get where you need to be.
Yeah.
How you say you can be broken, but you don't have to remain broken.
You don't have to stay there.
And I know it's tough, and it may feel like it's over, but man, you got so much life in front of you. When I had an 18-year-old girl, I don't want to share her name, told me, I feel as though my life is over. I say, look, young lady, you have so much life left at 18.
They tell me that all the time. I'm like,
you have so much life left. And now her hearing the message last night, she came to me. It's like, I got some good news for you. So that's awesome. So my experience is like, we have to. It's like, this is our testimony, and you have to live through certain things. But I'm happy that I recognize that I can share that story and make other people's lives better.
Yeah, it's like what I think Jason said it. He said, a book makes sense reading it backwards.
Read it backwards.
I was like, that's like, the book makes sense reading it backwards. Absolutely. So I guess for like the final closing questions is like, what's next for you? Like, what do you see in store for yourself? Because it technically is almost the new year, right? So for the new year, like, what do you see for yourself?
Honestly, I'm happy you said that. You read my spirit. I really want to see this, but I know I've been in my spirit. I've been pushing to go to ministry school, so I've been looking for schools. So I'm trying to either start fall or spring.
That's awesome.
So I really got to take it serious. I know what I'm called to do, and I just got to lean into it.
Yeah.
School, and I think that's a scary part of how I'm gonna pay for this. But God, listen, you listening. You want me to go to school, you go, find a way to pay for it. So honestly, just leaning in with Youthquake, leaning in more, trying to dive deep, leaning other Pastor Linda, trying to figure out how to get more knowledge and just let God use me. The moment I try to say what I'm going to do is never works out. So
you're like,
just say, God, I know you want me to be go to ministry school. I'll do that aspect. But that's the only far I can think out. God, you have to lead me to the next steps.
Yeah, absolutely. I will say, when you go to theology school, there's going to be a class called hermeneutics.
Oh my God.
And you're just going to be like,
I know what that is, but I know I'm already
you're just going to be like, and then I believe that's a class about genealogy. So it's about family trees. And you're like,
it's forever.
I'm not gonna lie, I skip every single scripture.
You know a little bit more than I do, so I got that class. I'm coming you for help. I'll sit around.
I skip. Oh, this is the son of who. Okay, skip. Now what do you need me to read?
It's a long. I know it's a long family tree.
So many people.
So nope, I'm ready. I get to it.
Listen, it's a crazy class. Well, I guess to close this out, if you have a word for us for the word of the day.
I've been waiting. Moment is my word.
Moment, and why is that?
Because honestly, I think sometimes we so focused on our past or even worry about the future, what we've been talking about, and just enjoy the moment.
Please.
Just sit in the moment and realize what you have. I think sometimes we are like, I want a house, I want a car, I want to go here, I want to go to ministry school, but what is my moment? Like right now, I have 3 boys that's healthy. I have a wife that loves me. I'm at work and I'm speaking at a podcast with Savannah.
Yeah.
this is the moment. Enjoy it now. Why am I worried about it at 3 o'clock? It's going to come around. My moment is here. I'm enjoying my moment.
Yeah.
And that's how I live life.
Yeah.
I mean, I can't worry about tomorrow.
Yeah.
And I could plan for it, but I start in my moment now and just enjoy life right
Yeah.
now. So here, if you are out there, you worry about your tomorrows and past, stop it. God got you. Enjoy your moment and let's live right now.
Just breathe.
Just breathe. That's it. Simply breathe.
I love that. Well, thank you. Enjoy your moment.
Enjoy your moment.
Well, Donte, thank you so much for coming and just sharing your life. I know it's not an easy thing for some people, but thank you for coming. You're doing fantastic. You're doing great. And I'm just so proud of you in this like past year because I've known you for about a year now. So like in this past year, and it's just been a fun.
It's been fun.
Youth Create has just been really fun and refreshing for my soul. So we've been doing the do, I would say.
So steam forward, right?
Yeah, steam forward.
I love this podcast.
So as always, there are 2 sponsors that we love to thank, and that's the Children's Trust and Trinity Church. And don't forget that there are 3 ways in which you can watch or listen to this podcast. If you like to watch, just follow us on YouTube. If you like to listen, just follow us on Apple or Spotify. Remember, this is the Steam Forward Podcast. See you next week.
Steam Forward Podcast.